Good evening. This is the live coverage for our winter storm for Saturday, February 8th, 2025. Now, before I get any questions, let me just lay down some rules here. First of all, we are not going to be talking about the storm on Tuesday or potential miss, depending on which model guidance you're looking at. Yes, it looks like there could be something, especially for the southern areas, but we have some time to look at it. We'll start diving into that tomorrow. Okay, so nothing on that focused for tonight. Tonight is all about the wintry mix mess that is going to be invading the region for this evening. And so we'll be following this every hour. We'll have an update up until about midnight, and then we'll shut it down. And we're going to cover the evolution of the storm, what you can expect, any changes that are going on with the storm, and of course, the latest observations. So, one thing to understand with this whole setup here is that this is not a setup for a powerful winter storm or something of you know 8 to 12 or 12 to 16-inch type snowfall, at least for us. If you're up in the not Poconos, the Green and White Mountains, okay, those areas, when you're interacting with some Arctic air, absolutely game on, right? Where you could actually see maybe a foot of snow in a few locations. But for our area, the northern mid Atlantic, this is essentially a wave of warm air driving into cold air that is going to be removed for a short time. And so in that setup here, you have this southeasterly wind. This tells us first and foremost that the cold air is not going to be able to stick. So this is a very basic rule here. Whenever you have a southeasterly wind like this, around 5 to 10 miles per hour, you're going to be transporting warm air in pretty quickly. Now, the other thing to also note here is that our dew points are awfully low. So our wet bulb temperature is going to be falling below freezing as the precipitation starts. And we're starting to see signs of that right now in portions of Delaware. You're getting some freezing drizzle, some rain starting to show up down here in Virginia. The radar initially may not look all that impressive. Give it a little bit of time. Over the next 2 hours, we're going to watch that radar really blossom as we start to enhance our thermal gradient and frontogenesis as this moisture coming in from the Atlantic is going to be interacting with all this lifting. That's kind of the difference between what's going on in central Pennsylvania, where it's kind of ragged until you get into the Ohio River Valley, and what we have here. With the influence from the Atlantic coming in, you're going to have plenty of low level moisture start to work into this equation. So your dew point's going to start to rise and your temperatures are going to start to fall, and we're going to be falling below freezing as this precipitation starts. We can see here on the latest map from the SPC here, the moisture transport involved here. So pretty strong moisture transport at the mid levels here coming in from the Ohio River Valley. And that's what's going to be driving through our region, really starting after 6:30, 7 o'clock, and moving on through the rest of the evening. This is frontogenesis, okay? I shifted more towards the mid-Atlantic look so that we can get a full idea of what's going on here in West Virginia. This is our wall, our wave, as I was describing last night, of warm air invading the region. So this wave that we're going to be watching here is going to create strong frontogenesis. That's strong lifting. This is not lifting by a strong short wave. This actually is a very weak short wave and displaced to the north. This is all driven by this 850 millibar low dragging due west, due east, should I say, towards the New York City metro. So this wave is pretty much going to be your whole storm right here. Okay, so there is no build back, there is no expansion of the precipitation shield. All we have here is we have moisture coming in from the Atlantic, thus the overcast cloud cover. So you're going to have this strong lifting running into that moisture while the cold air is just trying to hang on. And that's what's going to lead to your precipitation shield growing a little bit and then driving to the east. This is why this is not a long duration storm. By 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, you might just have a few flurries hanging around, snow showers up towards New England. That's pretty much about it. Here's another look at the 850 millibar low. Again, there's your warm air. There's all your cold air right here. And you can see in this scenario that, hey, look, this looks like there's going to be plenty of snow here in central Pennsylvania in this setup because you have plenty of cold air. But I want to show you something really, really important. Okay. This is a good lesson for all you guys that run around posting your snow maps, especially on the HRR or on the NAM or GFS. This is why you need to dive in deeper and throw those snow maps out. This is the skew T chart. Okay. Now, when we look at this, this is 800 millibars, this is 850 millibars right here. Okay. Now, when you use the snow maps, typically most of them use this equation 850 millibar temperature. What the state is it above freezing or below freezing? So let's say it's at 32 degrees or 0 degrees Celsius. Then takes the QPF, which is the amount of moisture, and then multiplies it by 10. So in this case, the snow map would say, hey, look, it's below freezing in central Pennsylvania. And we have 0.3 of an inch of moisture coming in. So that's 3 inches of snow. But what the model snow map doesn't take into account is this warm air right here between 700 millibars and 800 millibars. And in this area, this is where we have our snow growth area. Okay, so this opens up the potential not for snow, but for sleet. So instead of a 10-to-1 ratio, it's more like a 6-to-1 ratio. So instead of 6 inches of snow, you end up more with, let's say, 2 inches of snow or snow and sleet. Okay, just a real mess. So that's why it's really important. I'm going to be drilling this in, and in the future, we're actually going to have forecasting seminars. All right, so definitely be on the lookout for that for in the next year or so. This is why you need to throw out the snow maps, get rid of them. This is what you need to do. Use QPF plus this, the skew T chart, to see what your thermal gradient is and what your vertical temperature layout is, and then decide the precipitation type and the amount. I know it takes longer. It's harder. Yes, it is harder, but it's worth it. Okay, because you learn more about what's going on with this storm. So that's why all these snow maps aren't picking up on the heavy sleet potential that is going to be showing up not only for portions of central Pennsylvania, but then also in the New York City metro. Let's jump the forecast hour. Let's go 8 hours out. Let's see, submit. There we go. So again, here we have 8 hours out in the middle of this storm right here. The HRR finally is picking up the sleet. Beforehand, it was showing snow, but the snow map is still aggressive. But in reality, what you have here is a clear sleet signal. Okay, where you have your snow growth organizing, you get this melt, and then it freezes again as it falls to the ground. So that's sleet for you. If you're looking for freezing rain, that's more like the warm air is further down and then below freezing at the very surface, which hopefully we avoid. And then if you're looking for all snow, let's see if we can move that further north. Let's see. Let's go 8 hours. This is your all snow. See, notice the warm air isn't anywhere near 0 degrees Celsius. You still got that warm push at 700 millibars, but you're below freezing at all levels. And then down here, freezing rain. See, warm throughout much of the layer, cold basically below 900 millibars, right? Let's say 828, let's say 875 down. That's where you have below freezing. So that would be freezing rain, right? So you can see why this is very important that you look at the skew T, and that's an important thing to study. Now, here we have our radar here. It's moving along. Let's refresh this real fast. And you can see the precipitation get ready to invade. Very impressive heavy precipitation out here towards central Pennsylvania. This is all going to be driving west to east. You can see that on the infrared satellite picture. There's our strong lifting. It's all moving west to east, showing up the same thing on the water vapor satellite picture. And if you want to take a look at the upper level winds, there we go again. Everything's moving very quickly west to east. Not a long duration event here. At 850 millibars, there is our strong jet streak associated with the warm air transport. And this is essentially what we could expect going forward. So I like the going forecast quite a bit. I don't see any reason to change anything. We'll dive into the timing a little bit as we move on through the hours. I do like for a lot of people here start time between 6 and 8 p.m. from west to east. And again, zone 1 is where we can see most of the snow, 4 to 8 inches. Zone 2, a sleet snow mix at 2 to 4 inches. Zone 4, snow sleet going over to rain with basically about a trace of ice and then a quarter to maybe a half an inch of rain, 1 or 2 inches of snow. Zone 5, a wintry mix over to rain, trace to an inch of snow. And zone 3 is where I'm very concerned about freezing rain, where someone could easily push over a quarter of an inch of ice in this scenario. So we'll keep an eye on this. It's probably going to be the longest update of the series, as I wanted to lay out the ground of this storm and what the details are. And going forward from here, we'll look at the observations and go from there. In the meantime, stay safe out there.